Discovered, a billionaire's heartwarming encounter with a single mom speaking 7 languages. Rain poured relentlessly over the streets of Detroit, as if the heavens themselves were weeping for those who struggled below. Among the million-dollar homes tucked away in gated communities, William sat alone in his inherited mansion. At 42, the reclusive billionaire had always cloistered himself in an opulent fortress, wrestling with guilt while the world outside fought for survival. Today, he grabbed his umbrella and stepped out into the rain, hoping to escape the silence of his wealth, heading instead to a local diner, a world he knew little about. Inside, the familiar clang of dishes and the smell of fresh coffee greeted him. He found a seat in the corner, a dark cloud of self-absorption lingering over him. But soon, a whirlwind burst through the door, soaking wet and full of life. Maria. In her late 30s, a single mother working double shifts at the diner, she juggled customers and chaos like a seasoned performer. Her 3 children were her motivation, and she was teaching them not 1, but 7 languages while balancing the weight of her responsibilities. If anyone embodied resilience, it was Maria. Their first conversation was brief but impactful. She smiled brightly despite the weight she carried. "Can I get you something?" she asked, ringing up his coffee with a grace that disarmed him. William was mesmerized not just by her smile, but by the compassion in her voice. For the first time in years, he felt something awaken in him, like the first glimmers of dawn breaking in a barren night. As days turned into weeks, William became a regular at the diner, enveloped by the warmth of Maria's presence. Their chats transformed from small talk to deep conversations about sacrifice and dreams. She spoke candidly about her struggles, and he found himself sharing his own fears of insignificance. They were worlds apart but tied together by a common thread: hope, family, and survival. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as their friendship began to blossom into something extraordinary, Maria received devastating news. Eviction loomed over her, threatening to strip away everything she fought for. William's heart raced. He wanted to help her, to douse the flames of her despair with the bucket of his wealth. But what if his charity stripped her of her dignity? The tension in the air crackled when he overheard a booth of strangers speaking judgmentally about single mothers like Maria. Their prejudice cut fiercely, igniting something dormant inside him. How could people not see the strength it took to be her? As he wrestled with conflicting emotions, Maria's estranged family suddenly entered the diner, uprooting the fragile balance she had fought so hard to maintain. William's chest tightened. Would this shake the foundation they were building, or could he encourage her to accept help while honoring her independence? The diner had transformed into a battleground of dignity, love, and second chances. As William stood at the crossroads, he was left wondering how he could bridge this chasm of class and privilege, a choice lingering in the air, heavy with incomprehensible possibilities. William's heart pounded in his chest as he watched Maria's face shift from surprise to disbelief at the sight of her family walking in. They seemed out of place in the diner, almost like intruders in her world. He recognized the tension that shadowed her shoulders, the way her smile faded into a tight line as the family approached her table. "Maria?" A tall man with an air of authority spoke first, his voice heavy. "We need to talk." William leaned closer, instinctively wanting to shield her from whatever storm was about to break. He caught Maria's eyes, those deep, expressive eyes that had shared laughter and dreams with him. They flickered with something he couldn't quite decipher: fear? Anger? He wished he could reach out and comfort her, to reassure her that she didn't have to stand alone against this looming threat. "Not here," Maria replied sharply, a mother bear protecting her cubs, her voice low but firm. "This is my space now. You don't get to just barge in like this." The conversation continued, sharp words thrown like arrows, aiming right at Maria's heart. William couldn't just sit by. With a sudden rush of determination, he stood up and walked towards them, his presence commanding attention. "Excuse me," he interrupted, his voice steady but laced with the urgency of the moment. "Maria is doing an incredible job taking care of her children. She doesn't need an audience judging her decisions, especially not from family." The stunned silence that followed was palpable. Maria's family shot him confused looks, as though they were trying to decode the billionaire who had suddenly entered their fray. But Maria's expression softened with gratitude, and William felt warmth swell in his chest. Maybe he wasn't just a silent observer in her life. Maybe he could actually stand up for her. "Who are you?" the man demanded, eyeing William. "I'm someone who believes that everyone deserves a chance to thrive," he replied, locking eyes with Maria. "And I think Maria deserves all the support she can get." Maria looked down, the hint of a smile playing on her lips. William could see hope flicker in her gaze. But then, just as quickly, it vanished, the shadows of financial insecurity clouding her thoughts once more. "Look, what do you want?" she asked, her voice quaking slightly, a mixture of dread and determination. The family members exchanged furtive glances, ultimately landing on the man who had spoken first. "We came to help you, Maria. We're worried. You can't keep doing this alone. I've managed this far, haven't I?" Maria's voice was firm, but the tremor betrayed her. William sensed this was a pivotal moment, a crossroads where Maria's strength confronted her past. He didn't want to overwhelm her, but the urge to pull her into a safe, warm space grew stronger. He wanted to reach out, but he also knew this battle belonged to her. The clamor of the diner faded into a dull murmur, and in that moment, William realized he was no longer afraid of the connection they shared. He wanted to help her, but not in a way that undermined her power. "Maria," he murmured, stepping closer, "you don't have to answer them alone." His offer hung in the air, heavy with unspoken promise. Would she let him walk beside her in this fight, or would she choose to face her fears alone? He could feel the weight of her choice pressing down on them, poised to shape their relationship in ways neither of them could foresee. As the conversation continued, Maria's gaze flickered between her family and William, caught in a delicate balance of loyalty and independence. The stakes felt higher than ever, and within that uncertainty was a question that lingered in the air: could she accept help without feeling defeated? The rain outside had picked up again, a fitting backdrop for the tempest brewing within the diner. William's heart raced, and he held his breath, waiting for Maria's next move, the moment that could redefine everything for both of them. Maria's thoughts whirled like a storm. The voices of her family surrounded her, assertive, demanding. She could feel the weight of their expectations pressing against her chest, threatening to suffocate the small flame of independence she had managed to reignite. But amid the chaos, there was William, a lighthouse in her tempest, his unwavering support grounding her. "Maria!" the tall man implored again, his voice softer this time, but still filled with authority. "We care about you. We haven't seen you in so long. You can't shut us out." She exhaled slowly, trying to steady her racing heart. "Caring or controlling?" she challenged, her voice steady now. "You don't understand. I've had to fight for every inch of ground I've gained. This," she gestured around her, "this is mine now." William stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers, reading her turmoil as if it was his own. He leaned in a little more, lowering his voice, "You're stronger than them. But you don't have to face this by yourself." She could see the concern etched on his face, and it made her want to lean into him, to let him take some of that burden away. But she couldn't. This was her battle, and she needed to prove she could handle it. Even the thought of accepting help made her stomach turn. Was it a sign of weakness? Her gaze shifted back to her family, watching her with a mix of anticipation and worry. It felt like an interrogation, as the din of the diner blurred into silence again. The weight of their stares could knock her off balance, but she plunged forward, fighting against the anxiety. "I'm doing this my way," she stated with conviction, the fire returning to her voice. "You can either support me or step aside." He seemed taken aback for a moment, as though her words had cut deeper than she anticipated. "You can't just ignore the past, Maria. You need help, whether you see it or not." We want what's best for you and the kids. Was there concern in his voice? Genuine worry mixed with frustration? She had always pushed them away, fearing they'd never truly understand the path she had chosen. But what if they were right about one thing? What if she didn't have to do it all alone? William interjected. Perhaps it's not about the past, but about moving forward. There is no shame in asking for help. His sincerity hung in the air, a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. You don't know what it's like, she shook her head, fighting against the rising tide of emotions. I can't let them in. Not after everything. Images of chaotic arguments, broken promises, and empty regrets flooded her mind. The fear surged, clawing at her resolve. Then let them in just a little, William countered gently. The way he spoke was calm and convincing. You deserve a chance to breathe without feeling smothered. Trust that it's okay to lean on those who care. The rain beat heavily against the window, and it felt like the storm within mirrored the storm outside. Maria took a deep breath, considering. It was terrifying to even think about opening up. But perhaps she could navigate this without losing herself. With a glance at William, and then back to her family, Maria felt uncertain. She had spent years building walls around her heart, convinced they were necessary. But now could she find a way to tear down just one brick? An uncomfortable silence stretched between them, the unsaid words filling the gaps like an unwelcomed guest. Her family shifted expectantly, yet Maria's resolve teetered. The choice was hers alone. Would she risk vulnerability, or would she retreat back into the fortress she'd built? At that moment, Maria's gaze met William's, and the intensity of his eyes spoke volumes. In that brief connection, she sensed a promise of understanding, of patience. But what would it cost her if she chose to accept? As she weighed the consequences, the world outside seemed to hold its breath alongside her. And just then, amid the tension, a voice piped up from the back of the diner, drawing attention away. Is everything okay over there? A waitress with a look of confusion approached, uncertainty shadowing her features. Maria's heart raced again. The interruption felt like a sign. Was this a moment of clarity or chaos? She faced her family, their expressions shifting as they recognized the walls around her beginning to crack. What she didn't expect was the tremor of hope that surged within her. Could this be the beginning of something different, a chance to redefine her journey? The realization hit hard as uncertainty loomed larger than ever. In a single moment, the struggle within felt amplified. Could she let go enough to let them in? As the diner's chatter resumed, Maria felt the weight of choice in the air, a moment that could either shatter her carefully maintained boundaries or forge a new path. It was time for her to decide, and with that decision, everything could change. The waitress, with her apron barely covering a vibrant floral dress, looked from Maria to her family and then back to her. The unsettled chatter of the diner resumed, the clink of plates and the hum of conversations melding into a symphony of daily life. But for Maria, the world around her faded. She could hear her heart beating like a drum in her ears. Everything's fine, Maria managed to say, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. She could feel the weight of gazes from across the diner, each one scrutinizing, each one curious about the scene unraveling at this table. Are you sure? The waitress pressed lightly, her brow furrowing in concern. You look like you could use some coffee. Maria nodded, even as her mind raced. Coffee. Tiny moments filled with warmth, like the little flicker of hope that had sparked within her moments before. But could she really embrace that hope and face her family? William's hand brushed against hers, a reassuring weight that ignited the flicker into a flame. His gaze anchored her, and for a second, everything outside the bubble of their moment faded into insignificance. Let us get some coffee, he suggested softly, as if reading her unspoken thoughts. It might help to clear your head. She took a breath, breaking the magnetic connection with William only to realize her family was still watching, waiting. Her parents were now leaning in, expressions shifting from anxious to something almost like eagerness. What do you want, Maria? Her father finally asked, a hint of desperation weaving through his words. Tell us. We're here. His sincerity caught her off guard. The honesty in his eyes momentarily cut through her defenses. I don't know, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I really don't know. That admission felt like stepping onto a tightrope, balancing hope and fear. What if she fell? The thought of exposing her vulnerability made her stomach twist uncomfortably. The waitress set down mugs in front of them, the steamy aroma wafting up and enveloping the table in warmth. That's a good start, William said, gently nudging one of the mugs closer to her. Maria wrapped her hands around the ceramic, feeling the heat seep through her skin, offering a fleeting comfort. The simple motion made her heart swell. Maybe it wasn't just about the big decisions or tearing down walls. Maybe it was also about leaning on others, even if just a little. I think I want to try, she said, and her voice felt steadier this time. The words poured out, a hesitant admission. But I don't know how. Daniel, her older brother, leaned a bit closer, his expression softening. You take it one day at a time, Maria. We'll be here with you. Just tell us what you need. A tidal wave of emotion swelled within her. It felt raw and beautiful, like patches of sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Did she really want to invite them back in? Yes, I want that, Maria confessed, her gaze drifting from her brother to their parents. Just be patient with me. I need time to heal. William smiled, and his eyes shone with pride, quietly encouraging her to take the leap. The warmth from the coffee mixed with a newfound reassurance pulsing between her family, grounding her even more. At that moment, she realized that asking for help didn't mean giving up her independence, it meant transforming it. But just as a wave of relief washed over her, a shrill ring interrupted their intimate exchange. Maria turned her head towards a woman near the entrance, panic flashing across her face. An urgent buzz filled the diner as the woman's eyes darted around, frantically searching for someone. What's happening? Maria whispered, a knot forming in her stomach once again. William straightened, instincts on high alert. I don't know, but it looks serious. As the tension thickened in the air, Maria felt that familiar storm brewing inside her. What if this was just another challenge? Would she have the strength to confront not only her past but also whatever storm awaited them now? Her heart raced. The diner seemed to hold its breath, and so did she. Waiting for whatever was to come next. Would she be able to face this new challenge alongside her family? The moment had shifted once more, tension threading through the air. Maria clenched her mug tightly, realizing the journey ahead was far from over. And with that thought, the door creaked open, letting a chill rush in. The door swung wide, and an icy gust swept through the diner, pulling Maria from her thoughts. She focused on the woman at the entrance, still searching frantically. The murmur of conversations faded to a whisper as heads turned, everyone drawn into her panic. Help! The woman exclaimed, her voice high and trembling. Someone please help me. My son, he's missing. A heavy silence fell over the diner, the air thick with anxiety. Maria's heart skipped a beat. The fear etched on the woman's face was palpable, and it struck deep chords of familiarity in her chest. She remembered the moments when anxiety had gripped her family, when they had felt lost and unsure. William's hand tightened around her shoulder, grounding her. We should do something, he said, urgency flooding his voice. Daniel stood, instinctively scanning the room. Is anyone here a parent? Does anyone know where he might be gone? Just across the street, I think, the woman pointed, her voice shaky. He wanted to see the fountain. I turned for 1 second. Maria's breath caught. Memories flooded back, her younger self at a park, the joy of splashing water and laughter, swiftly overshadowed by the panic of a parent's worst fear. She felt a pull, a desperate need to step forward. I can help, she said, surprising even herself. William's gaze met hers, a flicker of surprise reflected back. Are you sure? He asked, concern lacing his voice. Yes. The conviction caught fire in her chest. I know how to look. Simon, Daniel, let us go. We need to start searching. Without waiting for doubt to fester, Maria sprang to her feet. The diner's patrons shifted in their seats, some whispering among themselves, while others watched in rapt silence, entrusting the situation to strangers who had stepped up. Stay together. We'll check the park first. Daniel shouted, and the sound was reminiscent of old family games, a hopeful chant among chaotic moments. As they rushed out into the brisk air, Maria could feel the heartbeat of the diner fade behind them, replaced only by the echo of her own pulse matching the urgency of the situation. The streetlights flickered against the evening sky, casting long shadows as the trio sprinted toward the park. Maria could see the faint glint of water ahead, the community fountain bubbling cheerfully, juxtaposed sharply against her mounting anxiety. "Do you think he went there?" Daniel asked, his breath quickening. "It's possible," Maria replied, straining her ears. "We have to check." As they approached, her eyes swept across the play area. Children chased each other, laughter ringing out like music in the air. But no sign of the little boy. "Over there!" Daniel shouted, pointing towards a cluster of bushes. Instinctively, they changed direction, and Maria felt a knot tightening in her stomach. Would they find him in time? The commotion from the fountain faded as they drew near the bushes. They called out the boy's name, voices ringing out like sirens of hope. Just as doubt began to creep in, Maria heard a faint whimpering sound, and it sent a jolt through her body. "Here!" she yelled, urgency fueling her steps. As she pushed the branches aside, her heart sank momentarily at the sight. A small boy, lost and alone, clutched a teddy bear, tears streaking down his cheeks. The moment unfolded in a silence so profound that it swallowed the noise of the park. "Hey, buddy," Maria knelt down, speaking gently as the boy lifted his tear-streaked face. "You're okay now. We're here to help." Relief washed over her as she reached out, and he took her hand, trust evident in his wide, watery eyes. But as they turned to make their way back, the night revealed an unexpected reality. The worried mother's silhouette was now standing at the edge of the park, watching with heartache, the final piece of their shared journey. Would this moment finally bridge the gap between Maria and her own family, helping them heal together? With the boy in tow, she faced an unknown, yet she felt a surge of something new: courage. Here she was, a step closer to rediscovery within herself, while the diner's warmth lingered just behind. "Let us go home," she whispered to the boy. It was more than just about returning. It was about understanding her own heart, finding where she truly belonged. As they walked back, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of her healing. With each step, she realized that embracing hope was not just for her, but for others too. But as they neared the woman, another figure emerged, one who made her heart race in ways she didn't understand. A tall man with striking features and an intense gaze, his eyes locking with hers in a way that felt both electric and unsettling. What would this encounter mean for her journey? Would this unexpected connection lead to the transformation she craved, or was it another challenge waiting on the horizon? Maria paused mid-step, her heart pounding in rhythm with the intensity of the moment. The man stood by the entrance to the park, his presence so commanding that the world around her dimmed momentarily. He had a confident poise and an air of someone used to being in control, yet his eyes, dark and deeply contemplative, seemed to reflect a world far beyond his years. "Do you know him?" Daniel's voice broke through her reverie, pulling her back to the reality that mattered. The trembling boy beside her, still clutching his teddy bear tightly. "No," Maria hesitated, struggling to process the unexpected knot in her stomach as the man took a step forward. "I don't think so." But something in the way he looked at her felt eerily familiar, as if he recognized her from a dream left unspoken. A flash of something: curiosity, compassion, or maybe a shared understanding passed between them, igniting a flicker of connection that made her breath catch. "Is this your son?" The man's voice was rich and smooth, laced with genuine concern as he approached the little boy, dropping to one knee. He extended a hand, his expression softening. "Hey there, buddy. What's your name?" "Tommy," the boy stammered, eyes darting from Maria to the stranger, unsure how to respond. "Tommy, huh? You are one brave kid," he replied, a small smile pulling at the corners of his mouth. "I overheard your mom calling for you from across the street. Let us go back and surprise her, shall we?" The man's calm demeanor eased some of Maria's tension. Just then, she realized how much they needed this moment to be whole again, not just for Tommy, but for the woman waiting anxiously to be reunited with her son. "Are you going to be okay with him?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly as the man nodded, his focus still on the boy. She felt a strange sort of trust blossom. How could she? Yet, in the man's gaze, there seemed to be a sincerity that compelled her to take a leap of faith. "Stay close," Daniel whispered to Maria, his protective instinct kicking in. Together, they started walking back toward the worried mother, the man striding confidently at their side. Maria couldn't shake the questions bubbling beneath the surface. Who was this man? Why was he here? "What's your name?" she finally asked, breaking the silence between them. "Logan," he responded with a hint of a smile as he exchanged glances with her. "I'm just passing through, but I couldn't just stand by when someone needed help." "Thank you," she replied. It was simple, but the words carried a weight of gratitude that, for a moment, felt heavy with unspoken words. As they approached the mother, relief washed over her face, the moment drawing near. Maria's heart swelled with something she had almost forgotten, the warmth of community, of shared experiences. "Tommy!" the mother cried, rushing towards them, her arms outstretched. Tears filled her eyes as she gathered her boy in a tight embrace, the kind of fierce love that spoke volumes. Maria stepped back, allowing the family moment to unfold, yet her own heart was beating with discomfort. "I should go," she whispered, feeling an urge to retreat as she turned her gaze toward the ground. "No." Logan's voice was firm yet soft. "You helped find him. You're part of this moment too." For the first time that night, she met his gaze fully. But the words tangled in her throat. She was still a stranger to him, yet part of her longed to explore that deep connection. Before she could respond, the woman turned, still hugging Tommy tight, and a smile broke upon her face as she looked at Maria. "Thank you so much." "It was nothing," Maria murmured, her heart swelling with a sense of belonging she hadn't expected. "Nothing?" Logan interjected, his brow raised with disbelief. "You saved him. That's everything." In that singular moment, Maria felt a stirring within, a realization whispered deep inside her. Perhaps this was just about healing her own past, but about forging new beginnings, unexpected friendships, and essential connections. As she looked at Logan, standing there with a sparkle in his eyes, she couldn't help but wonder, had fate drawn their paths together for a reason? How could something so small, yet gigantic at heart, lead to what she wanted most, a family once again? Maria took a step closer, heart racing with the weight of possibility and fear. In the depths of her uncertainty, one question echoed louder than the others: could she trust this stranger with her heart? As the park's soothing sounds blended with the vibrant energy of newfound joy, Maria realized she was standing at the edge of something profound yet fragile. Would she dare to embrace this chance for connection, or would she allow her fears to pull her away once more? Maria felt the warmth of the moment wrap around her like a soft blanket. She stood, uncertain and vulnerable, as she watched the reunion unfold. The mother held Tommy tightly, whispering sweet nothings and grateful words, the little boy absorbed in the comfort of his mother's arms. It brought back memories of her own childhood, memories tinged with both warmth and sorrow. "Are you all right?" Daniel's voice broke through her thoughts again, hovering close like a guardian. She nodded, but felt the knot in her stomach tighten. She hadn't expected to feel this way. It was as if, in that brief moment of anxiety, she unintentionally shared a part of herself with Logan. "Do you want to say something to them?" Daniel suggested, looking at the mother and son still lost in their embrace. Maria hesitated. Did she want to insert herself into this moment? But before she could decide, Logan stepped forward. "Just so you know, your little hero here is tougher than he looks," he said, grinning at Tommy, who beamed back proudly. The mother, still holding her son, turned her gaze toward Maria, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "We owe you so much," she said, her voice quaking with emotion. "Thank you for bringing him home." The words hit Maria squarely in the heart. It wasn't just gratitude, it was an acknowledgement of something deeper that connected them all. Her heart swelled again, but this time, it was lighter, hopeful. "I didn't do much," Maria murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, but the warmth in her chest begged to be released. "You did everything," Logan said, stepping closer to her. There was an intensity in his eyes that made her pulse quicken. "Sometimes just being there is the most important thing." "Logan, I wish I could tell you how much this means," the mother said, still holding tightly onto Tommy. "You are both such blessings." Looking at Tommy, she felt an echo of her own lost child within her. She hesitated again, but something pushed her to say more. "I'm just glad he is safe. Really, that's what matters." Logan's eyes lingered on Maria's, and the connection pulsed anew. "You've got a good heart," he said quietly. "I can see it." The honesty in his words made her cheeks flush. Did he really mean that? Trust felt like a delicate dance, and every step left her breathless. As they stood together, she wanted to step directly into whatever this was blossoming between them, yet her fears held her back like chains. Daniel shifted beside her, sensing her internal struggle. "Let us head back to the car, all right?" he suggested gently. Maria nodded, still hesitant to pull away from that moment, the warmth, the connection, the chance for something more. "Will you stick around?" Logan asked, a hint of hope lacing his words as he took a half step forward, as if trying to hold on to the moment just a bit longer. Before she could answer, the park grew darker as clouds rolled in overhead, closing like a curtain on the little drama they had just shared. The breeze shifted, carrying a hint of rain, and for a moment, her breath caught in anticipation of the impending storm. Maria met Logan's gaze, heart racing. This was the point of no return. "Can I see you again?" Logan asked, the sincerity in his voice lifting her spirits. For a brief heartbeat, the world around them faded away. The rain began to patter softly on the ground, mirroring the beating of her heart. Could she let herself trust in a stranger? As the first drops fell, Maria felt a rush of clarity. "Yes," she whispered, surprising herself with the strength of her conviction. The rain became a drizzle, yet as she stepped back from the warmth of immediate connection, another question bubbled to the surface: what would happen now? Would they seize the chance at something real, or would the weight of their pasts drown out a beautiful possibility? With that thought, the first gust of wind picked up, sending a chill through the air. As she and Daniel began to walk away, her heart still echoed with the warmth of Logan's gaze. In that moment, she realized she was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, trusting that this was just the beginning of something deep and transformative. But as she glanced back one last time, would she dare take the leap into the unknown and let him in? Maria walked alongside Daniel, her footsteps mixing with the soft pitter-patter of rain. Each drop felt like a tiny reminder of the unexpected warmth she had just felt. Her mind raced, replaying Logan's words. "You've got a good heart." They crept into her thoughts and twisted around her like an embrace, holding her close in moments when her own self-doubt seemed to surface. "Hey, you okay?" Daniel asked, glancing sideways at her. His expression was concerned but warm, and it grounded her amidst the swirling emotions. "Yeah, just processing," she replied, still caught in the moment. "Processing or suppressing?" he teased lightly, though his eyes hinted at deeper understanding. Maria chuckled softly, appreciating his effort to lighten the mood. "A little bit of both, I guess." As they reached the car, she fumbled for the door handle, but her thoughts drifted back to Logan. Why did it feel so easy to connect with him? The weight of her past, that still hung like a shadow, momentarily lifted. "Do you think he really means it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel frowned slightly, the concern returning. "Means what? That you have a good heart?" "Yeah, I mean, who does that? Just thanks someone like that?" "People who appreciate kindness," he replied. "And maybe he sees something in you that you haven't yet figured out." That struck a chord. An unexpected thrill surged through her. Could it be true? Was she really someone worth knowing? As they drove through the rain-soaked streets, Maria glanced out the window. Streetlights cast golden circles against the asphalt, each reflecting her uncertain feelings. She thought of Tommy again, his brave spirit, and how he had emerged from the crisis. She shook her head, recalling how, in that moment of being lost and found, she had felt drawn not just to their rescue, but towards something more meaningful. "You're lost in thought, huh?" Daniel interrupted, pulling her back from her reverie. "Wanna talk about Logan?" Maria smiled softly. "I think I might want to see him again." "I kind of figured. But you've gotta ask yourself this: what do you want from him?" The question hung in the air like a gust of wind. What did she really want? Companionship, healing, something more? She chewed on her lower lip. "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But it's been a long time since I've felt this spark. It's different. Different can be good or scary." "Just be mindful," he said, his tone shifting to gentle advice. As they pulled into her driveway, Maria felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. What if Logan was just a fleeting moment of warmth in this cold, rainy evening? The thought made her pulse quicken. Maybe she should just stay safe and not risk it all again. But a flicker of courage appeared in her chest. She didn't want to retreat anymore. Maybe this time could be different. She needed to find out whether their moment was meant to blossom. "I'm going to text him," she finally declared, surprising even herself. "You go for it," Daniel cheered, his face lighting up with that infectious support she always appreciated. "Just remember to breathe." As she reached for her phone, uncertainty fluttered within her. Doubts tried to creep back in. This could go wrong in so many ways. Steadying herself, she typed out a simple message, her heart racing with each tap. "Hey Logan, it's Maria. I'd love to meet up again if you're free." As she pressed send, a sense of relief washed over her. But now came the waiting. Would he respond? And if he did, what would happen next? With her heart still racing from the high of the moment, she leaned back in her seat and let out a deep breath. In that silent pause, with the world outside still cloaked in rain, a faint echo of hope ignited within her. But would that hope be enough to navigate whatever came next? As she stared at her phone, anticipation thrumming in her chest, she knew one thing for certain: she was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. But as the minutes ticked by, would that courage hold against the weight of her fears? Maria stared at her phone, the screen glowing in the dim light of the car. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. The rain drummed softly on the roof, a soothing backdrop to the whirlwind of emotions brewing inside her. She longed for the familiar buzz of a reply but feared the silence even more. Daniel shifted in his seat, adjusting the radio, but glanced at her again. "You doing okay? You seem distant." "Just waiting," she managed, attempting to sound casual, but the tremor in her voice gave her away. "Waiting is hard. The anticipation can drive you nuts," he said, his voice gentle. "Do you want to talk about something else?" "Maybe," she replied, though her mind was still tangled in thoughts of Logan. Why couldn't she just let it go? It was just one message, one guy. Yet it felt monumental, like stepping onto a tightrope with a gust of wind threatening to send her spiraling. She closed her eyes, envisioning that moment in the cafe when Logan smiled at her. It was genuine, like he saw her, really saw her. "I can't shake off this feeling," she finally said, biting her lip. "What if I'm reading it all wrong? What if he's just being nice?" Daniel raised an eyebrow, a teasing smirk flickering across his lips. "You're a kind person, Maria. You know that. It's no surprise that he noticed that about you." She opened her eyes and met his gaze, searching for reassurance. "But what if I'm too broken for someone like him?" "Broken? You've pieced yourself together more than most, Maria," he stated firmly. "You've got a good heart, and that matters. Just be yourself. If it's meant to be, then it'll be." The sincerity in his voice settled like a warm blanket around her shoulders. For the first time in a while, she felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. A sudden vibration startled her. Her eyes darted to her phone. A notification. Her heart raced as she grabbed it, breath catching in her throat. "Did he open it?" Daniel urged, excitement bubbling in the air. Maria's fingers trembling, she tapped on the message. "Hey Maria! I'd love to meet up again. How about Saturday?" A rush of elation washed over her. The world outside faded, the rain now a distant murmur. Daniel leaned closer, a proud grin on his face. "See? Told you he'd be interested." "But why?" she murmured, feeling a mix of disbelief and excitement. Why would he want to meet me? Maybe he feels what you feel. Maybe he sees something special, Daniel replied, his tone encouraging. Look, you don't have to overthink it. Just say yes. Feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily in her chest, she couldn't help but smile. Right. I should just say yes. As she typed out her response, a flurry of nerves bubbled up. Okay. Saturday sounds great. Where should we meet? Once again, she pressed send, and the aftermath of her choice echoed around her. The breathing room she had anxiously awaited now lay ahead. Yet the thrill that pulsed through her was dimmed by the uncertainty lurking beneath. Just like that, Daniel said, clapping his hands. You're on your way. What if this is the beginning of something amazing? What if it isn't? Maria countered, her fingers now cold with doubt. Then you learn from it, Daniel replied, unwavering. But what if it is? What if you find a new friendship, or something more? Maria considered his words. Could she really let herself embrace that possibility? As her heartbeat steadied, excitement crept back in. The thought of finding out what a connection with Logan might bring made her pulse quicken. Okay, let us do this, she finally said, her voice gaining strength. Let us see what Saturday holds. But as she gazed out into the rain, another thought came to her mind. What if stepping forward came with hidden challenges? As the clouds rolled on, darkening the horizon, she felt both anticipation and trepidation tightening in her chest. Would she step boldly into this new chapter or retreat into the safety of the past? Just then, her phone buzzed again, making her jump. Would this be an answer or a curveball? Her heart raced. Here we go, she whispered, half terrified, half thrilled. Saturday arrived, and the clouds loomed slightly, casting a gray hue over the streets. Maria could hardly believe she was anxiously adjusting her outfit for a meetup with Logan. The anticipation was a heady mix of excitement and nerves churning in her stomach. She stood before the mirror, smoothing her hair, reminding herself that this was the next step toward opening up her heart. As she headed to the cafe where they agreed to meet, her mind darted back to the moment they met at the park, the unexpected connection she felt. The memory made her smile, but the nerves returned thickly. What if he was just being friendly? What if she misread their connection? The cafe buzzed with chatter, warm light spilling through the windows. She stepped inside, and her heart raced at the sight of Logan seated in the corner, looking just as composed and charming as she remembered. He looked up and flashed a grin that sent a rush of warmth through her. Was it mere friendliness or something deeper? Hey, you made it! Logan greeted, rising to meet her. The genuine joy in his eyes lulled some of her tension. I wasn't sure you'd come. Of course I would, Maria replied, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm glad to see you. They settled into easy conversation, laughter spilling out between them like sunbeams piercing through clouds. With every shared story, she felt the walls around her heart gradually lowering, brick by brick. Logan talked about his travels, his dreams, and she found herself opening up about her struggles and triumphs, about being a single mother and the resilience she had built over the years. With each moment that passed, their connection deepened further. Yet, there remained a flicker of doubt at the edges of her mind. Could she trust that this newfound relationship wouldn't crumble like so many before? But gradually, this worry began to fade as Logan listened with genuine interest, and touched her heart with small gestures, a reassuring touch on the arm, an encouraging nod, a radiant smile that felt like a warm hug. Halfway through their coffee, Logan leaned slightly closer and said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," she replied, her curiosity piqued. "What do you want from this?" His gaze held hers steadily, as though he could see right into her heart. Suddenly, the question hung heavy in the air, echoing in her mind. She paused, heart racing again. What did she want? The answer felt intertwined with her fears and hopes. "I want to be brave," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "I want to let someone in, to share my life, but it's hard for me." Logan's expression softened with understanding. "It's not easy for anyone. Trust takes time, but I'm here, ready to be part of that journey with you." Her breath hitched. His sincerity sent ripples of warmth through her, and a heartbeat of hope swelled within her chest. "I think I want to take that leap of faith with you," she confessed, surprising herself. Logan smiled widely, and relief washed over his features. "Then let us take that leap together." Their conversation flowed seamlessly, laughter danced around the table, and each passing moment felt increasingly perfect. As the afternoon wore on, Maria leaned back, allowing herself to sink into the comfort of their connection. Maybe this was more than just fleeting. Maybe this was a chance to build a new life, to experience warmth and support without the old wounds of her past overshadowing her. But just as sunlight streamed in through the window, a shadow flickered in her mind. Maria thought of her children. They were her first priority. "Logan, I want you to meet my kids. They're an important part of my life." The corners of his mouth turned up. "I would love that. Your world is beautiful, and I'd be honored." Days turned into weeks, and Maria introduced Logan to her children, a cautious yet heartwarming experience that felt remarkably right. The meeting unfolded naturally, conversations filled with laughter and stories. Maria felt her heart swell with gratitude as she watched her kids connect with Logan. They took to him immediately. The warmth of this new family grew with every shared dinner, every evening spent playing board games, and every movie night. Eventually, the bond deepened. Maria realized that she had stepped beyond her fears of vulnerability. Her journey became as much about trust as it was about loving freely. "Logan, thank you for being so supportive," she said one day, gazing into his eyes. "You've shown me I can have trust again." His gaze met hers, unwavering. "We all deserve a chance to heal, Maria. I'm just happy to walk this path with you and your kids." As time marched on, Maria smiled brightly every day. Not every moment was easy, but they faced each challenge together, every triumph celebrated. Soon, the walls that once confided her heart melted, replaced by an intimacy woven with hope and love. They had arrived at the coast one sunny day, spending the afternoon building sandcastles with the kids. Looking into the distance, Maria felt the gentle breeze carry away the remnants of her past. She chuckled as the kids splashed in the waves, their laughter blending with the ocean's roar. Logan wrapped his arms around her, and she leaned into him, feeling completely safe for the first time in a long while. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant hues, Maria turned to Logan. "This," she said, gesturing to the scene before them, "this is everything I've been searching for." "Then let us keep embracing it," he replied, a twinkle in his eye. She nodded, overwhelmed with gratitude and a sense of belonging she had long craved. A soft smile formed on her lips as she found her heart finally at peace. In that moment, she felt a deep certainty that this was just the beginning, the start of a journey that was truly remarkable. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next, united, resilient, and full of love. And in that blissful moment, Maria made a choice. She chose to share her life, to trust once more, and to embrace the richness of what it truly meant to belong. After all, it wasn't just about finding love. It was about holding on to the bond that had transformed them all. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us know what touched your heart. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation in their lives. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support is crucial, and only true fans understand the importance of these actions.